Very good morning to you guys. Hope you're doing well. I stayed up quite late last night, hence the reason for the late bulletin. I was watching Bitcoin and it looked like it might have been a bear trap. I'm not entirely sure, 100% sure, but it is worth keeping an eye on crypto because it's a risky asset class, and if it performs well, then it sort of feeds into the general risk appetite, the mood of the market. So if it tumbles and it pukes, then there's obviously liquidity issues in the market, and the fact that Bitcoin's doing well, it can help with the assessment of risk appetite for the day ahead. It fallen 18% yesterday. It sort of set a bit of an omen. So today's trade of the day is a risk off trade. So we have to be careful because our risk calculation is currently risk on at the 24-hour difference. It's only a small change though, and VIX is more or less where we were. I think it just rubber banded yesterday, to be honest. We were at 25.15 at one point. We've risen since. So our risk calculation is a little bit out of bonk with our trade of the day. So depending on how it does, if it performs poorly, we'll just take into account this metric into the trade of the day. So if we're risk on at the 24-hour difference, our trade of the day will have to be a risk on signal. If it isn't, it's scratched. Okay, so we'll have to wait and see what happens. So today's like a bit of a test. If it performs poorly, then that's fine. We'll use this and take that into consideration because the retail guys are short and they're adding short. So, indices can continue higher, okay? And that's risk on. So today's going to be important. The trade of the day, I would probably just monitor it, to be honest with you, because it can move a great deal and it also can be quite painful if it goes wrong because of the volatility. It moves nearly twice as much, or it used to move twice as much as the pound USD, this particular trade of the day. So the yields fell, so it's risk on. And also telling us that the dollar is weakening as well. And, we're still a little bit out of bonk. To be honest with you, these need to be where they are, probably, and these need to come down a hell of a lot as well. So they shorted... they went long dollar Swiss, they went long oil, and they shorted Kiwi USD, but we still need to flip over, the big picture, because they're still long at a static level, but they're reducing that volume. So if they continue, it will be a buy at the big picture, and that's why it's a mismatch day. Ideally, get things to match, okay? Be careful of Euro Yen. We had taken stop loss cluster out below, and we've taken a stop loss cluster below in pound yen, and likely for UJ. Now, if you look at the spreadsheet, you can see the yen bubble is looking quite strong. So whether or not we want to fight the USD, big picture, it has come off, and on the week and the month we are positive. And so I think today and tomorrow is going to be very, very important. The Chinese data last night was less than feared, the inflation data, so it might set a precedence for the US. If it does come out softer than expected, expect dollar just to take a break, and these will likely rally, and it's going to caught a lot of people off guard as well. There's people very short these instruments. I think it was 72% on the Euro USD, so they're going to possibly going to get squished. Dollar CAD is the weakest from last Wednesday, and the Euro USD is the strongest. So there we go. You can see that metric there, Euro USD. And so our trade of the day is a risk off trade. So we have to be careful. I'd probably just monitor it if I were you. I might just put a little extra note in the Discord just to say I'm just going to monitor it. I think I probably need to do that in case you think that I'm going to take that trade. I'm not going to take it because I think we could be risk on at the big picture and the risk on the 24-hour chain. So see how we go. Patreon there, Telegram and Discord, and do note that we're doing Patreon videos every day now. So we're going to cover the stop loss clusters on the major pairs, and there'll be a 5-minute video. So that's exclusive for patrons only. So you need to subscribe to see those videos, just to go over the stop loss clusters and where we are with pivots. so we get an idea, direction. This is the daily US 500. I think inevitably we're going to crack above that. I think these last candles were just retracements, and I think inevitably we'll crack above. It was probably too obvious that we were going to go above straight away, and it had to lure some bears in first, and so I think that's what's happening. And we're going to make a move higher. I think this is going to be like an ABCD. Yeah, we do need to break above that high in order for an ABCD. So we will need to break above that if we're looking at a harmonic view, where it will be a sell when we break above. But where it is, we'll have to check the fib from that low to that high, and then it'll be like a 127 or 138 or something like that extension. So I'll show you guys in Discord. So they've gone long on the US 500, which isn't ideal, but it's good for our trade of the day because our trade of the day is risk off. So if they go long, things should fall. So how legit these two candles are going to be, it could be fake. If they go long, we should fall. Likewise, they've gone long on US 30. They sold it here, and they sold it again. And so that's that. And DAX, I didn't show you DAX, that's a shame. To show you quickly, if it lets me load it quickly. Sometimes Discord takes ages to load. Yeah, I've got some robots and things in there. That's probably why it takes so long to load. I'll show you German 30 once it loads. Yeah, still this is starting. Oh no, this is DAX. Yeah, of course. Right, so that's what I need to do is put a page break there. Right. So yeah, so I was saying, how DAX, they were going to sell it, but they have to sell it. They have to, okay? They did, and then there's the ouch there. Now, they sold it really heavily. Boom, they really shorted it. Up we come. They shorted it again. Up we come. So that was the buy for DAX. And you can see how the circles correspond. I was saying it's going to be a buy, but they have to short it. So it's a bit of a gamble what they're going to do, but if they do as forecast, we can make enormous profits, huge profits on that, just using this very simple setup of the SSI 21 moving average. Okay, and so that's that. So that's before the 4th of November, and that's the day at 8 o'clock. So I'll need to do a page break there because that confused me a bit. We've got empty space there. And gold, wow, very crazy moves. But this is because of the USD weakening, and we're probably going to continue higher as well because they're really shorting it. So there's the ouch, they shorted it. Up we come. I think they could have potentially shorted it because we didn't think that we were going to break above this wick. That's probably what's going to happen, what had happened. So they shorted it thinking, well, it's a wide stop, but it's probably going to hold. So they shorted it. They didn't really, they got punished straight away. And then we had to test that wick. And then we did probably maybe have opened below. And then that was the reason for them selling it there. So they're probably very technical. They've got a technical approach to the market, but they're not looking at the sentiment. They're looking at that thinking, all right, well, we're below that, and then we can have a stop just above or something like that. I'm already in huge drawdown, so I think it should be okay to sell. So they need to check sentiment. If you can't just be technical only, you do need to check your sentiment and fundamentals as well. The fundamental case for gold is that the dollar and the inflation. So I think this is suggesting that we could be setting up for a massive sell-off, or we're just going to continue higher. But this is definitely sensitive to the inflation because it's a commodity, and you check all your commodities as well. Very painful. Even on a micro lot, on a 0.01, that would have been very horrible. And I expect these traders aren't using tiny micro lots. They're probably using standard sizes. So very horrible. Today's liquidity targets. Now this takes a while to populate, so hopefully it is useful. It's the longest thing that takes in the bulletin. It's ideally I'd like not to do it, but if someone uses it, then that's fine. It's useful for me to do it, but It's quite lengthy. So we took the stop loss cluster above on AU as forecast in the Patreon video that I sent exclusively for members, and the one below is possible because of the size. And the largest mover was dollar Swiss towards sell. Now I posted into Discord a dollar Swiss chart, and with probe and stops below on that. Now yesterday's failure rate was awful. We were 18% yesterday, so it was really, really bad, and there was a lot of indecision. Today is better, but we do need to see reversals on CAD and yen and dollar. For example, they've shorted CAD, so price should be going up, and it's not. So that's why it's got a low score. So that's the logic. If it's a zero, a minus and a minus, that's not good because it tells us that they're getting paid. If it's a plus and a plus, then it's not so good. Ideally you get the plus and the minus to harmonize. So they short it, price should go up, basically. Pound CAD was scratched. I was very uncertain yesterday, and I probably was a bit tired and had a low confidence in the pound, really, to be honest with you. CAD is strong as per Marco's weekly technical analysis as well. So we were pitching against strong technicals and a very dodgy pound as well. When you consider the macro fundamentals of the UK economy, the pound isn't really a very good thing to buy right now. It's just very dodgy. Maybe the new Prime Minister is going to be good for the pound, but I had low confidence on yesterday. So just to recap, Monday was scratched and Tuesday was scratched, and today it's going to be a test and whether or not we need to incorporate this metric here, which we probably should do because we need to incorporate the big picture and the 24-hour change into our trade of the day. And if it means not having a trade of the day, that's fine. That's okay. I don't want to publish a trade of the day and it go wrong. Ideally, we have checks, and that could be a very important check to have, which makes sense that we do that. So the bubbles, the static, dynamic. So this is the high level. Is it above or below 50%? Is the pair shifting? The actual pair and the technical summary. We'd only try and do something if it's a strong buy or strong sell. So dollar CAD is a strong sell, but yet they shorted it, so there's a mismatch there. So there's a bit of uncertainty right now. We're probably going to be the same tomorrow because of the CPI, and Friday might be better, but there is something to tell you guys that I'm taking Friday off, I'm taking Monday off. I'll need a long weekend because I got quite angry with myself yesterday with a trade that I could have got out with enormous profits, but I didn't even take partials. I let it go all the way up to my break even with negligible profits. It wasn't even like £1 profit when I was up a lot. And so I'm quite angry with myself. So I need to take a break and reassess, my plan, because I'm good at the stop loss, but when it gets to TP, I guess maybe I get greedy. I just want maybe a home run, and you can't really get home runs in this market because it doesn't allow you to. It needs to chop and it needs to flush people out. There's the inflation rate from China, so it's actually less than feared, so that's good. That's risk on, and we've got obviously the eyes on the inflation rate tomorrow, and the consensus is that we are going to be lower than the prior. Okay, so if we're less than 8%, that's probably going to hurt the USD, and we're going to see things rally as well. So we've got the midterm elections results, and we've got that crypto thing going on. Whether or not that's still going to be in free fall. I'm hearing some stuff about some altcoins that are getting liquidated, which reminds me of the dot-com bubble in the 1990s. We had all these startups, and they got crushed basically, and this is what's happened to altcoins, which I thought might happen. These crazy coins that don't serve any purpose, just says that they're just something to buy when there's high liquidity. But if the Fed are reducing liquidity and they're reducing their balance book, then these altcoins aren't going to do particularly well, and it's kind of maybe expected, to be honest with you. If something actually serves a purpose and has a real world use, then it's fair enough. But these altcoins don't serve any purpose at all, apart from like speculative assets, really. So I in crypto, I think an eye on the trade of the day. If it goes poorly, we'll just use the risk calc and eyes on the inflation rate as well. So be careful. I'm going to do a quick 5-minute video for Patreon, and I'll speak to you guys soon.